Now I'm gonna mix my bass layers. So we have 3 different layers for the bass. And let's start with mixing the sub. So we already grouped them. The first thing I like to do is put a blood overdrive, which I'm gonna apply to all individual channels because the blood overdrive adding so much harmonic distortion and we get much more richer sound. Let's check it with span. I'm gonna put it on default mode. As you see, the bass notes, the sub, is going 3 different progression. It's having 3 different notes. The first note was F sharp, as we checked before. And let's see which notes the rest of the progression contains. I'm gonna put a tuner in here and let's play the bass. So it's going to D like the highest note. Okay, now we know which note's the highest note, which note is the lowest note. So my bass, if I open a piano roll, is starting from F sharp and maximum is going to D. This information is going to be useful when we are going to EQ the bass. But for now, let's give it some distortion at first. Yeah, this is a really powerful bass. Okay, now I like to put a sidechain to the sub and I'm gonna sidechain it with my kick. So let's add a Fruity Love filter. So don't worry, we already have the preset for you in the course folder. It's called sidechain. So if you put it, we already talked about it in the previous mixdown. So in one bar, it contains 4 different beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in Love filter, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So they are equal in terms of timings. So if we check the first beat, we have kick. The second beat, the kick is fading out, right? So in here, in the first, we shouldn't have almost any bass. And in the second, we should be having the bass as fade in. And in the last 2, we don't even have any kick. So we should have the full bass in here. You can make your sidechain curve with this logic. And yeah, like we could use the sidechain compressor. It's going to work, but for me, I like to draw my curve exactly, which makes me feel like I have more control because I can place a perfect curve in here and I don't need to work on the attack, release, decay, that kind of parameters, you know. The threshold, the compressor is kind of more complicated for just drawing your sidechain curve with an Love filter, you know, that's really easy to follow. That's why I'm using this one. So let's hear how it sounds with the kick now. Sounds really nice. Now I like to put an EQ and let's go choose a preset. Let's choose one of these guys and deactivate the first band. I'm just scrolling it, the first band in the top line in here. So we only have the high cut button here and I like to right click. We know our bass is maximum going to D note. So let's try to cut it in here. And also I like to activate the high quality in here, which means oversampling, it's gonna take much more CPU. But if you are cutting the sub, the kick, this kind of important stuff, you should be activating the high quality mode to get more accurate sound. And yeah, now I like to leave it in here. And let's go to my second layer, which is the main bass. Let's route it properly. So again, I like to put an overdrive. So just making the signal a bit more fat, and maybe we can put some EQ. The first thing we should do to cut the sub frequencies out of the bass. So let's go here because we have a separate sub. If we didn't have any sub as a separate channel, we shouldn't be worried about it. But if you have a sub frequency, a sub channel, just occupying the sub, you cannot have another channel, another sound occupying the same space. This is a problem. They could affect each other because of the physics laws. You cannot have two different notes playing in that same area. They probably phase cancel each other or distort each other. And yeah, you basically don't want it. If you have two different bass with a separate sub, you should always cut the sub from the bass. So let's do that. Let's choose step 8, choose high pass, make the bandwidth flat. And now it should be like a puzzle. If we cut from 73 Hz in here, we should be doing the same. 73. And let me copy paste the sidechain to the bass. So without the EQ, as you see, like sometimes the sub is not that powerful, but sometimes it just goes crazy. Because they are clashing in the low, because they are fighting for same spot, sometimes the sub wins, sometimes the bass channel wins, so we don't want that. We want a tight, a consistent bass response. That's why we are going to cut the bass from the sub. And in here, like we made it as a puzzle, but still we can experiment with it. That's fine. Just check the span and find the best sounding position in the bass. Because cutting like that from the EQ doesn't mean you are cutting all the frequencies. It has a slope, which is this bandwidth. And like even though if we cut it from, let's say 90 Hz in here, if I solo it and check it with the span, so we still have 45, 50 Hz already. Like it cannot cut instantly all the frequencies. That's why you can just tweak and experiment and find the best sounding position according to each other. Maybe we can cut it somewhere around F sharp. Let's try that. Maybe 92. I think it sounds nice. The sub, the first big hill, is kind of consistent to me. And probably we can add another EQ to the bass. And I like to boost the fundamental frequency, which was the F sharp, like 92 Hz. Let's boost it a little bit. Since we are cutting some information in here, to not lose any power, I think it's best to give it back after we cutting it. Maybe not that wide. You know, just a little bit. And probably I can leave it like that. We have another bass. Let's take a look how that sounds. So again, let's start with putting an overdrive. And maybe we can just copy paste the sidechain again. The reason I'm having 3 different sidechains, maybe at some point we could want like to sidechain the top base a little bit less than the sub, because we don't even have sub frequencies on the top base, right? We are going to cut it. I could put only one sidechain that could affect all, but instead I like to have 3 different sidechains, and which gives me more flexibility, more freedom to sidechain different curves individually every channel. So let's leave it maybe like that this time. So this is too hard, too sharp for the top base. We can make it less tight in terms of sidechain, and it could be affecting whole groove, whole vibe of the track. And now I'm gonna put an EQ, but yeah, this time the cutting should be more, because again, I don't like to get clash with the main bass. So probably let's cut it from high pass and maybe cut it like even cut all the sub, all the bass till the low mids. And I think I'm hearing a little bit of resonating frequency. Let's dip it. Let's hear all the bass layers together. So the first dip I made wasn't a problem when I'm playing all the channels. So that's why you should avoid making the surgical EQ while you are soloing a track, which I just did. But yeah, when I'm listening it with the full context, I think it's not a problem. But still, I'm hearing this frequency and it's kind of annoying me. I'm searching for it. Yeah, exactly this one. And yeah, probably we are done with the bass layers. Now they are sound really well.